Hey guys, in this video, it's going to be a little bit different from what I generally post. I'm going to try a new type of content out, and it's basically around product management. For those that don't know, outside of my content creation, like side hustle life, I do have a career as a principal technical product manager. That is product and not program manager. And all of the opinions that I'm going to express in this video are my own and not that of my employer. So I wanted to talk about my career and how my side hustle has kind of influenced the career that I've gotten into. Now, I work in big tech, and I will say that I absolutely love it, and I could not have done it, I don't think, without having the side hustle of my blog being in the background. So I just wanted to kind of share my journey of going into tech as a product manager and my journey to get there without a technical background. And so wanted to kind of share my experience just in case someone's looking for a pathway or a journey and how they could get there without like having a computer science or a data science. I wanted to share my principal product manager journey so that you guys kind of know the pathway and how my side hustle actually helped get me to where I am. And what I hope that you take away from this is that vlogging can open up so many doors, and also how product management actually relates to becoming more of like kind of guiding your own business within a bigger business. What I wanted to kind of share is my journey so that those of you guys who are looking to break into big tech or wanting to be a product manager without a technical background, you could see someone else's pathway to kind of inspire you and motivate you on your own journey. All right, so the topics that I'll go through is first my educational background, and then also my first career, and then how I transitioned into tech, and walk you guys through that process. So I actually went to a state school, a very boring state school in the Midwest. I actually love the state school that I went to because I just had so much fun, also learned a ton, but did college in 3 years because I did a few of my undergraduate classes as a senior in school. I know I am a complete dork, but my degree is in marketing, and it is from a state school. So non-tech. I took I think a Java course at some point, and I pretty much like bombed it, and I knew that like I had to like withdraw from that class. I don't think I was in the analytical like state of mind at that point in college, and so I definitely had to drop out of that class. So I knew that coding wasn't for me, but I will say that in high school, I created some NSYNC websites because I was a fan of NSYNC, and so I created like a lot of websites via HTML in high school. Again, I'm a major dork, and so I think I had that in my background, and so I thought that I would do well in a Java class in computer science in university, and that turned out not to be the case. So I decided to pursue marketing. There was a school for journalism that also did advertising, and I didn't do that. I did marketing, which is more of like number crunching and understanding the stocks and the markets and calculating p-values. So I kind of veered that way, but ended up with a marketing degree and decided not to pursue an MBA. So in my second and third year of college, again, I graduated in 3 years, I got an internship with Pfizer. It's a pharmaceutical company where I basically was a sales rep in specific regions. And so I did an internship in Kansas City, and then I got a full-time offer after school and went to Oklahoma City, like as in Moore in Norman, Oklahoma. And so I did that for about 2 years, and I realized that I really didn't like sales. But what I learned from that experience, though, is that sales is really important. Building relationships and networking is what I learned from that. And I feel like everyone should have a crash course in learning how to sell to people and being able to build relationships and networks, because I was taken into an intense boot camp to learn how to sell. Like, people were recording me on video and asking me to watch it back and critique myself. Like, that was how intense it was. And I felt like I learned a lot from that experience. While I may not have liked it as a career journey, I learned a lot. And so I decided to move back to Kansas City to be with my now husband. And I was like, you know what, maybe like I did pharmaceuticals, maybe I should just go to med school. And so for a year, I did this stint where I was like, hey, I think I want to be in this space. And I turned out I did not want to do that. So I was getting like another degree so that I had like a bachelor's in some sort of like science-based background, and I decided not to do that. So I decided then to instead get a career in a company that was really big at the time in Kansas City, where they did electronic medical records. And there I actually did consultancy work. And what I mean by that is that the company had software, different components of the software that would be implemented, and I kind of would help with the pharmacy side of things. And so what I would do was I would fly out and fly in to where the clients are and talked about our pharmacy software, and then would help them configure and implement it. At no time was I working with the engineers in that role. And so it was more or less like just consulting on the software and how it worked. And so I did that for a couple of years, worked my way up, understood how the system worked, and then I became like one of the knowledge leaders in that space, that very niche space. And then I realized that, hey, I could influence the roadmap for that product, right? At the time, I didn't know that I was going towards product. I didn't even know what product management was at that point. And so that was like, 6 years after being in a career field and understanding that, hey, like I could influence roadmaps. And from there, I was able to kind of work through, become a technical program manager, which is completely different than product. Now, what I will say is that I worked my way up through the ranks. I played a lot of different hats. And I feel like with product management, especially as you get to like the big tech companies, I feel like if you learn the roles and the skill sets for each role that you're in, whether or not it has a title or not, it gives you that experience and that background to be more well-rounded so that you can kind of transition into big tech that way. And that's what I took away from it. But I played a lot of hats. I was a technical program manager at some point, and then I was a process owner, which was basically being a product manager. And so I transitioned from actually like understanding the external services that we sold to becoming more internal. And in the internal space, I worked with like a workforce enablement team where we built things around like search engines. And at the time I was like building out my blog on the side because I just love that space. And I was able to kind of convince and interview for the role where I was doing search engines for internal use cases, not external, but internal use cases. And so I did that. I had a career at that company for about 13 years until I got a LinkedIn message from a recruiter from my current company to actually apply for a technical program manager role. But then once I got in, I was able to kind of find a role that suited like me in terms of like my love of like search engine optimization, marketing, all in the product space where I could help influence the roadmap and work with engineers because at the time I absolutely loved working with the engineers when I moved at my last company, just because you were able to be hands-on, build things, understand the roadmap, and then work with stakeholders. And really that was my journey into product management. And so it definitely does not have a technical background, but what I think helped me stand out was being able to understand the business as a whole. What I mean by that is that whenever I grew up in that space of like consultancy work, I understood the needs of the customers, right? So I was hands-on helping pharmacists implement pharmacy systems, right? They were complaining about the system, and I could take that back and understand what it was and work with engineers. And then when I was in the internal space in that last company, I was able to understand like, hey, people are searching inside the company about this topic. Some of them might not know what our software does, and they're looking up what is insert software, right? And then I would be able to work with the engineers on my team to say, hey, when we see this type of search come up, this is actually what they mean. This is the intent behind it. Let's go find a database that provides all that information and plugs it into them. So for me, I think being able to truly understand the customer in the space, in the niche that you're in, is really important when you want to kind of grow and scale as a product manager. The product manager generally kind of understands the roadmap, creates the vision, is basically the mini CEO of the company. And you guys know I love being the mini CEO of my own side hustle, and being able to establish the roadmap based on business outcomes, right? Whereas a technical program manager, what's different about that is that they're understanding the roadmap, right? And putting the engineers in place to go make that roadmap and execute on that roadmap. Whereas product does help with a little bit of that. They actually play a lot of different hats, but at the end of the day, what they're doing is making sure that what we're building, there's a why behind it and a business value behind it. And so for me, obviously with my side hustle of like bringing traffic to my blogs and understanding what people are looking for, product manager being a product manager actually lends itself really well with like, you know, my career path, what I like and a desire to do, and also just being able to be the founder of my own little company, my side hustle, on the side as well. So there you have it. That is my journey with a non-tech background. And you guys, it's crazy for me to think about like the 3 years I spent in a Midwest school. I'm not like downplaying the Midwest colleges at all, but when I'm working with people that are having degrees from Harvard, from Duke, Columbia, I'm just like, sometimes I've got this imposter syndrome saying, why and how did I get here? But I think it's a lot of hard work putting the dots together and the value that brings. So hopefully this helps you guys at all. If you guys have any questions around being a product manager at a big tech company or how I became a principal here, let me know. Leave questions and comments. Happy to answer any questions. If you guys like content like this or want me to answer any product management questions, again, all opinions are my own and not that of my employers. Please go ahead and leave a comment below. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Thanks, guys. Bye.